Kuhn, Loeb Co. was a bulge bracket investment bank founded in 1867 by Abraham Kuhn and Solomon Loeb. Under the leadership of Jacob H. Schiff, it grew to be one of the most influential investment banks in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, financing America's expanding railways and growth companies, including Western Union and Westinghouse, and thereby becoming the principal rival of J.P. Morgan and Co. In the years following Schiff's death in 1920, the firm was led by Otto Kuhn and Felix Warburg, men who had already solidified the roles as Schiff's able successors. However, the firm's fortunes began to fade following World War II, when it failed to keep pace with a rapidly changing investment banking industry, where Kuhn, Loeb's old-world genteel ways did not seem to fit. The days of the gentleman banker had passed. Considered one of the last gentleman investment banks, the firm lost its independence in 1977 when it merged with Lehman Brothers, creating Lehman Brothers, Kuhn, Loeb Inc. The combined firm was itself acquired in 1984 by American Express, forming Shearson Lehman, American Express, and with that, the Kuhn, Loeb name was lost. History. Kuhn, Loeb Co. was an investment bank located in New York City. It was founded in 1867 by Abraham Kuhn and Solomon Loeb. Kuhn and Loeb had created successful merchandising business in Cincinnati, Ohio, when they decided to move east to New York to take advantage of the country's burgeoning economic expansion. Company records indicate that by the time Kuhn and Loeb established the partnership, they were able to capitalize it at $500,000. On January 1, 1875, Jacob Schiff, Solomon Loeb's son-in-law, joined the firm. He eventually became its leader and grew the firm into the second most prestigious investment bank in the United States, behind J. Pierpont Morgan's J.P. Morgan and Co. The firm grew to prominence during the railroad era in the United States, much like the Internet boom which struck America in the 1990s. Americans saw great hope and promise in the railroad era, and investors saw great opportunities to profit. Kuhn, Loeb, like all investment banks, brought capital together with commercial opportunity. Its first meaningful entry into railroad financing was in 1877 when it raised funds for the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad, and several years later, in 1881, for the Pennsylvania Railroad and the Chicago, Milwaukee and St. Paul Railroad. Schiff was instrumental in the reorganization of the Union Pacific in 1897, helping to place the firm on sound financial footing. In 1901, with Kuhn, Loeb's financial support, E.H. Harriman famously battled James Jerome Hill and J.P. Morgan to acquire control of the Northern Pacific Railroad. The firm was long associated with many of America's emerging industrial giants, providing financial backing for Westinghouse and Western Union, as well as innovative consumer giants like the Polaroid Corporation. The firm also enjoyed respect as a trusted advisor overseas, providing services to numerous foreign governments, including the governments of Austria, Finland, Mexico and Venezuela. It also acted as the leading investment house for John D. Rockefeller, through the guidance of his investment advisor, Frederick T. Gates. Rockefeller invested in many syndicates with the bank, including major stakes in the prominent railroad companies, as well as contributing to its consolidation of the Chicago meatpackers, which resulted in the formation of a leading trust. Overseas ventures that Rockefeller also got involved with included the bank's loans to the Chinese and Imperial Japanese governments. The firm also joined a partnership with Rockefeller in 1911 to gain control of the Equitable Trust Company, which was later to merge and become the Chase Bank. Famous partners of the firm included Otto Kahn, Paul Warburg, Felix Warburg, Mortimer Schiff, Benjamin Buttonwieser, Louis Strauss, and Sigmund Warburg, founder of S.G. Warburg. In its early years, intermarriage among the German Jewish elite was common. Consequently, the partners of Kuhn, Loeb were closely related by blood and marriage to the partners of J&Amp, W. Seligman, Speyer and Amp Co., Goldman, Sachs and Amp Co., Lehman Brothers and other prominent German Jewish firms. Prior to the Second World War, a particularly close relationship existed between the partners of Kuhn, Loeb and M.M. Warburg and Amp Co. of Hamburg, Germany, through Paul and Felix, who were Kuhn, Loeb partners. Later on, following World War II, their cousin Sigmund Warburg would briefly continue this relationship as a partner and executive director of the firm. The firm's fortunes began to fade in the years following World War II. Wall Street was changing and shifting away from relationship banking. Kuhn, Loeb's world of gentleman bankers was gradually being replaced by a more aggressive, transaction-oriented Wall Street, with underwriters entering the trenches and selling securities directly to the public. Territory Kuhn, Loeb stubbornly refused to enter. When asked how many people worked at Kuhn, Loeb, one partner famously quipped, "About half." Such was life at Kuhn, Loeb, resting on its laurels, while Wall Street passed it by. In 1977, facing a capital crisis, the firm succumbed and merged with Lehman Brothers, to form Lehman Brothers, Kuhn, Loeb Inc. Internationally, the merged firms were known as Kuhn Loeb Lehman Brothers Inc., in recognition of the fact that Kuhn Loeb's international reputation was superior to that of Lehman's. The merger did not, however, prove to be the panacea to what ailed Kuhn, Loeb. Indeed, as detailed more closely in the Lehman Brothers history, a period of bitter internal strife ended in 1984 when the firm sold itself to Shearson, American Express, itself the product of a recent merger between American Express and Sandy Viles, Shearson Loeb Rhodes. The combined firms then dropped the Kuhn, Loeb name and became known as Shearson Lehman, American Express, ending Kuhn, Loeb's almost 120 years on Wall Street. Later, the combined firm purchased disgraced E.F. Hutton, becoming Shearson Lehman Hutton. Ultimately, however, American Express could not make the pieces of its financial services supermarket work. In 1993, under their newly appointed CEO, Harvey E. Golub, the firm sold its retail brokerage operations to Primerica. In 1994, it spun off a beleaguered Lehman Brothers as Lehman Brothers Holdings Inc. in an initial public offering. Although the Kuhn, Loeb name is likely lost forever, the firm's legacy is not. Former Kuhn, Loeb employees remain in senior positions throughout Wall Street and until recently, at Lehman Brothers. Vestiges of the firm survived in the form of Lehman Brothers' extensive fixed income capabilities, including many of the bond indices, such as the Government Credit Index. This index, originally birthed in 1973 by Kuhn, Loeb, as the Government Corporate Index, was among the first generation of bond index data to measure the fixed income market. It is still the preeminent benchmark in its class. Successes. The following is an illustration of the company's mergers and its role in later successor firms, notably Lehman Brothers, Kuhn Loeb, Shearson Lehman Brothers and later Lehman Brothers, partners of the firm. General partners ***, first non-family member to be admitted to the partnership. Caret indicates status as former managing partner. Partnership summary data 67 General partners. Longest-serving partner Felix M. Warburg. Clients of the firm. Operating entities: Kuhn, Loeb and Amp Co. Incorporated, Kuhn, Loeb Asia Limited, Kuhn, Loeb Government Securities Incorporated, Kuhn, Loeb International Limited. Office locations. Kuhn, Loeb Co. had a number of homes throughout its existence. 31 Nassau Street, New York, New York. 30 Nassau Street, New York, New York. 27 Pine Street, New York, New York. 52 William Street, New York, New York. 30 Wall Street, New York, NY. 40 Wall Street, New York, New York. 55 Water Street. Value of $1. In 1867, Kuhn, Loeb Co. was reputed to have been capitalized at $500,000. In today's dollars versus various benchmarks, this would be equal to $7,029,288.70 using the Consumer Price Index. $6,321,583.51 using the GDP deflator. $55,096,551.72 using the unskilled wage. $98,870,892.13 using the GDP per capita. $791,998,799.52 using the United States gross domestic product. Law firms representing Kuhn, Loeb Co. Guthrie, Cravath and Amp, Henderson L.P. Dewey, Ballantyne, Bushby, Palmer and Amp Woodell, L.P.